computer, yes. See how that goes. Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to Why Am I Yelling? It's supposed to be live, but we're pre-recorded, only because there were some technical difficulties, and we're going to laugh about that in just a moment. My name is Krista Rizzo, and I'm your host, and we are starting our new season today. I decided we're going to do a truth season. It's been a tough year for a lot of us. It has been a learning experience for a lot of us. And I think the word for me that kept coming up through the experiences I was having last year and with my clients is truth, right? We've had to all look at ourselves. We've had to look at our country. We've had to look at the people around us and who we surround ourselves with. And we kind of had to take a good hard look at all of it in the mirror and say, what does this look like, feel like, want to be like for me? And I think a lot of us have had to really look at that from a truth aspect. And so I decided that I was going to ask people who I knew had a really good story about standing in their truth and redefining their lives, redefining their businesses, redefining their relationships, and really wanting to make an impact on helping others and creating some kind of change in this world. And so today, I am super excited to bring to you a person I actually know for a really long time in real life. This is Pete McGuire. He and I used to be colleagues at Verizon. I left, he's still there. I'm not sure who has the better end of that deal. But we worked together for several years, and what I know of you from work is, it's so funny because when I met you, I was like, determined, high-strung, stressed out, great guy, super fun to be around. And then I left and we kind of, we were Facebook friends, and then you kind of disappeared for a minute on Facebook. And then you came back. And when you came back, you had a completely different story to tell, or a new story to tell. And I was like, I am reaching out to this guy and I am going to start commenting on his stuff, and I'm going to start reacquainting ourselves. And so we have done that, and his story is compelling and it's beautiful and it's wonderful. And I'm so excited that you're here. So welcome to the show, my friend. It's good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
So good to see you. I love when I actually have a relationship with the people that I get to talk to, because it's just easy. But I also love when the people that I know and care about in real life go through something that is life affirming and transformational and life changing in a way that is, it really brings out who you actually are, right? Like, you have experienced something that, is your truth. You're absolutely standing in your truth. You faced it and you are now living in it. And so I'm not going to divulge any of this. I want you to tell your story. I think it's a beautiful story. And so explain to the audience what your story is and how you came to make the decisions that you made to change your life, because you've got a lot of stuff that goes along with this.
Sure. So little history of me. I'm about to turn 60 in next week. I have two children, a 17-year-old daughter and a 36-year-old son. That's a whole nother story to talk about that age.
Yes.
And, I spent the last 26 years working in corporate America. Had the classic perfect life. We had an apartment in the city. We had a summer house out east. We had all of it. Reality, though, is I wasn't happy as a person. And I had realized about 8-9 years ago that something had to happen in my life, right? I had almost given up in a sense. I was 260. I was depressed. And a moment happened with me with my daughter where she looked at me one day and said, "Daddy, why are you always so angry?" And that was like a really powerful moment for me. And I had to do some serious reflection about why was I always angry, right? Was it a thing in front of me, or was it something deeper in the world? And I realized it was something deeper. I was living for everybody else, but I wasn't living for myself. But I had become so ingrained into my life that I had fear of the change, what would happen, right? economically, relationship-wise, the people in my life work, right?
Yeah.
All of that was
Yeah.
exposed, right? But I got the courage, and I told my ex-wife at the time that I didn't think we had enough in our relationship to survive to the end. And that I wanted us think about how we would kind of rebuild to a departure 2 or 3 years from now when my daughter graduated from high school. This was 3 years ago.
Right. A couple years, right.
Yeah. And we were pretty good about it. We were working. And when that happened, I gave myself permission to start to look at myself deeper in what was driving my thinking and my thoughts, right?
Yeah.
And I realized that I was gay. I knew I was, you know, if you understand the concept of the spectrum of sexuality, there's not one or the other. There's there's a small group that's one, there's another small group that's the other, and then everyone in between fits some kind of bisexual function.
Yep.
So I had always lived in the belief that I was bisexual but not active, because I was always faithful to my ex-wife. But once we made the decision that we were not going to survive and move on, I gave myself permission to go try, and I did. I knew in about a nanosecond that this was for me, right?
Amazing.
And you know, I started to go down this discovery process, right? I had two really important men that I met in my life that helped me. One that I was friends with for 2 months before we moved out away, and another one that I had somewhat of a dating relationship for a year. Both helped me in their own way to find my discovery, right?
Okay.
And I, you know me, I do everything to the extreme, right? My motto is, I'm going to jump off the bridge and hopefully there's more water than I realize, right?
Fingers crossed. Let's go.
Right? It's deep enough for me. And so I did, you know. So I became very active out in the gay community privately, not in New York, but in Miami where I was hanging out. And it gave me the courage. It gave me sea legs to figure it out, what it meant, right? You know, the thing about all of these things, it's a journey. You know, I counsel a lot of older gay men that have come out late in life, and there's a whole segment of the gay community.
Of course there is.
Right? You know, it's you know, you come out early in life, or you're what is known as the down low, or you are, but you're anguished by it, and then at some point you either break through it or you don't, right?
I think a lot of that is generational, right? Yes. Like I talk to people it's funny because my private clients who are not corporate clients are typically women, and they're either of our generation or they're millennials. Like I don't really have an in-between. And it's like the women who are my age, who are exactly like me, it's like I decided to make a change because I was unhappy. There was a toxic relationship at work. There was or environment, not relationship, environment at work. I needed to go. And I was afraid because that's not what I was expected of me, right? So we live in this. And now you look at these kids and they're like, I don't give a shit what anybody thinks about me. I am perfectly fine being this and being that. And I give them a lot of credit because I don't think you or I came from that, right? Your expectation was not what you are right now.
No, in fact, I look back upon when I was younger, we all looked alike. We all talked alike.
Yeah.
There was no individuality. If you wore different clothes that were unique to you, you were kind of ostracized by the people around you. Right? So there wasn't this generation of who you are as an individual as you're part of a bigger group.
Right.
My partner is substantially younger than I am. He's in that millennial stage group.
Good for you.
And he came out at 12.
I mean, they do that now, but not when we were 12.
And he is a proud gay man and has always been, and continues to go down the path with pure confidence in his life about that, right?
Yeah.
So you're right. There is a different generational thing, right? And, you know, as I said, everyone comes out in their own way. It's an individual thing. No one has a right to out somebody. You have to out yourself.
Agreed.
And it just took me a little while to do it. And what I did was I created circles of trust, right? I talked to a colleague, a female colleague at work that was in a that's lesbian, and she and I talked, and we knew each other, but she didn't know anything about me. So I came out to her first in corporate world. I came out to my best friend. Before that, came out to my cousin. So I had a small group of people just to give me testing what the response would be. All positive.
Sure.
You know, my best friend cried when he found out, you know, it just was really powerful to me.
Sure.
And then I started to expand it a little bigger. I told my family.
Yeah.
Right. I told my kids. I told had to tell my ex-wife.
Well, of course you did.
And that kind of shifted our 3-year plan to a different direction, but that's okay.
Right.
And then the same woman that I came out to her work asked me to be part of a Pride panel.
I love
for
that.
Verizon. And so when New York City Pride in 2019, it was 2018 or 2019, I can't remember. It seems so long ago.
Okay.
And I said, okay, great. You know, I'm going to go do this. And you know, and this was a panel like 6 people, right?
Yeah.
And Diego Scotti, who is the head of marketing, was the mediator, right? So I'm like, wow, this is gonna be interesting. And like a week before, I called her and I said, who's gonna be seeing this, right?
Everybody.
I thought it was in Verizon. It's called Globe, right? The Gay and Lesbian Organization, right?
Sure.
So I'm like, that is like 3,000 or 4,000 members. It's like, no, we're gonna do the entire company, and we're gonna telecast it live.
Oh, good. All 200,000 of us.
Yes, I'm like, I gotta have some phone calls because I have a whole organization that works for me, and I work for a whole bunch of people, right? So
good.
I spent literally a week, and it was like a sales call. You know, when you get your pitch call, I literally had my talk track down.
There it is. Here's my bullet points. If they say this is my objection.
Yes, and it was really interesting. I had one of my guys that worked for me. I had told him I needed to talk to him in a couple of days, and he was all nervous. He thought I was quitting.
Getting fired, right? Or getting right.
All right, he's getting fired, right? Or he actually thought I was quitting. And I go, yeah, I just want to let you know that I just became a member of Globe. And he's like, what's that? And he said, Verizon Gay and Lesbian. He's like, oh, okay. Are you an ally? And I said, no, I'm a member. Oh. And he's like, oh, that's why you're calling me?
Right. I don't care.
And I go, yeah. And he goes, I got other shit to do. And he hangs up.
Right. Yeah.
And he calls me back the next day and he says, really, it caught me by surprise. But honestly, I was more worried that you leave the company than the fact that you live your life, right?
Right.
I worked directly for the president of the company for a long time, for the last 5 years. And he's a very conservative guy. But we were very close friends.
Yeah.
We still are very close friends. And traveled a lot. We did a lot of big projects for him. So he knew I was dating somebody younger, but didn't know it was a guy.
Right.
So I got to tell him, right? So I sit down with him in his office and I say, yeah, his name is George. George, I need to tell you something. It's like, what? He said, I'm a member of Globe. And he said, what the is Globe? And I told him. He's like, oh, okay. And I go, same thing. Are you an ally?
Right.
I go, no, I'm a member. And the funny part about it was when you have a dog, right? When you start to talk to your dog and he gets confused and he turns his head.
Yeah.
He was like turning his head, looking at me, going, what? I go, George, I'm gay. And he's like, okay. He was quiet for about a minute and then said, listen, I'm living a cocoon. This is a new world for me, but you know, I'm glad for you and you have my support, right? I left. I texted him a couple minutes later, said, really appreciate you stand behind me. And he sent me a text that I still have, right? He said,
those are the good ones to keep.
Three things you should know. Number one, you're one of my closest friends and will always be my closest friend. 2, you are a major asset for this company. And I want you to continue to be as successful as you are.
Right.
And 3, that was the ballsiest thing anyone has ever done.
That's a beautiful text. And those are the things you need to hear, right? Because when you are, you know, going through stuff, and it doesn't, I mean, this is what you have gone through is something like that is a huge life change, right? Um, but when you're going through something and you're like, there's genuine fear around, what if I tell this person and they're not going to be supportive? Because I'm sure you had that, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. But our expectation, I think we had this conversation not that long ago, was, you know, like when I left the company and took a little time off and decided to start my own business, the people that you expect to stand by your side are never the people who do. And I think we all kind of have to learn that it's a hard pill to swallow. Right. And so when you, and there definitely are people who are going to be supportive of you. So I can't say that nobody was supportive of me doing this, because a lot of my friends and family were, but there were definitely people on that list who I was like, I can't believe that they're not sending me nice notes or sending me a text or commenting on stuff that I'm doing, like things like that. Right. So, you know, I like to give people the benefit of the doubt, because I believe in humanity more than I believe in the adverse. But, you know, it really is like, it's kind of mind blowing when you are going through something. It's like, you're probably very supportive of people when they're going through things the way I am. And it's like, okay, now they're not going to be there for me. So I think that when you have those people who are your allies, who are on your side, that's a really strong, wonderful thing. And when you're hearing it from, you know, multiple people, it's even better, because now you get that confidence, right? We just talked about that. So continue. Sorry.
So you're right. In a sense, I always try to think the people that I think will be there for me don't tend to be there, and the people that I think would be the biggest challenge tend to be my biggest advocates.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And that kind of held true, right? I have an older brother who simply can't adjust to us. But my colleagues and friends all did. I mean, I came out to 14 of my college friends at a boys' weekend. Just not boys' weekend, but boys' weekend.
Right.
And
when I was 55, right?
When I was, you know, and you know, I dropped the reality to a couple of guys, and I took a shower, came down, and they all got up and they hugged me.
Yeah, that's all you can ask for.
That's what you can ask
for, right? It's a beautiful thing.
So when I started this, I built 3 buckets of people. Those who can handle it, that have moral or emotional challenges with the gay community. Okay. I said, bye, see you later. Your negative energy is not something I want in my life.
I like that.
Then the second bucket was the people that said, oh, that's great, but kind of distant themselves from you.
Yep.
And I put them in a category of saying, when they come back, I'll embrace them. If they don't, okay. Right?
Okay. Right.
And then it's the third group, which is the most important group, that say, oh, really, that's great. Let's go get lunch.
Let's go get, right. Let's have dinner.
You on your life, right? And then there's a very subtle thing that I noticed in acceptance. And then this is one of the reasons why I had such an issue with my older brother, is that people don't want to talk about the thing that makes them uncomfortable, so they ignore it. 100%. So you're in your life, but you're really not in their life. It's not a direct relationship. And I'll go back to George. Every time I saw George, he would say, "How's Ahmad?"
Right.
That's who's my partner, right? So acknowledging my partner's name is an act of acknowledgement me as a person.
100%.
Right. And so when I kind of look at that, people know I'm in a relationship. We've been together for the last 2 years. It's fairly vocal. We're a TikTok kind of famous.
Hold on. I have to go find that. Hold on. I got to find
viral. We had like 500,000 views one day with a Christmas video that we did. And so it gave me that thing. And this is something that I've learned. And it's really about empathy. I grew up classically white privileged. And I consider myself a liberal, but I called people like me were liberal with biasness, right? I looked at people in a different light. I was, everyone should be free and equal, but I never knew what it was like for that person to go through their experiences. So when I came out, I now became part of a minority. And I started to feel a little bit different about the world as I was seeing it. But when I started dating Ahmad, and Ahmad is black, I said to him, for this to work for me, there has to be nowhere between our lives.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, honey, I'm on the phone, on the thing. I'm going to get to see you.
Oh, I'm so excited about this. What?
Ahmad, say hello. We're not live.
But I'm not cutting it out either.
No. Ahmad.
You just said that you were on the phone, so what's going on?
Come in, just say hello.
Hello.
Oh my God, hi! Look how cute he is.
Hi.
God, hi, Ahmad. I'm Krista. It's so nice to meet you.
What's up, girl? How are you?
I'm awesome. How are you?
I'm really warm, surprisingly, but it's like freezing outside, but I'm like sweating.
It is so cold outside. I can't even stand it.
But it feels like it's warmer than like regular, even though it's snowing outside. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I literally have a sweat. I don't know if you can see, but I'm like,
oh my God,
I'm sweating.
Looking at his brow. Look how cute you are. I love your hair. I can't wait until I can actually hug you people in real life. That's not even a joke. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Sorry.
It's okay. So where I was going was, by now being embraced into Ahmad's community, I started to learn perspective, right?
Yeah.
I kind of relate it towards photography, where my aperture went from this to this.
Yep.
You know, and the net result was I have 10 times more friends, 10 times more colleagues, 10 times more personal relationships that I had before, because now I understand what it's like for someone to be on the other side. And it wasn't that I needed to, I just needed to be empathy, be empathetic to them, right? And it helped me actually in the business world. When I started to meet new customers, they knew that I was gay and that I had a partner. And I'll give you a story. I use this all the time.
Yeah.
I was doing a big project for a piece of real estate in New York, and acting as a broker between my company and this person to buy something. And I had to meet the owner, who is this eccentric billionaire. Yeah. Who is one of my closest friends now. And so I went to see him. He was in jeans and a sweatshirt and a funky hat. So not looking like the average billionaire. And
they all look like that, by the way, unless they're Mike Bloomberg.
My team was walking the building, doing all their stuff. And he asked me to sit back with him and just chat, right? He goes, I want to get to know you, right? Yeah. So he told me his life story. Grew up poor, made a lot of money in the money markets. And then got divorced from his wife and gave everything to his ex-wife and started all over again. And I said, well, it's kind of interesting. I just literally gone through my own divorce. Right. And I gave everything to my ex-wife. I really did. And he said, well, what'd you get out of it? I said, I got to go home to the man I love. He hugged me, dropped everything, came over, bear hugged me and said, we're going to be doing business for a long time. Right. And I realized at that moment that being genuine is actually a very powerful value. Yep. And it actually is a form of leadership. Yeah. I became good friends with the head of HR for Verizon Media. And because I was interviewing for an executive role over there. And he said to me, your story and your genuineness about how you approach things is something that we look for in a leadership role. Yep. Right? So this all ties into a bigger, into a nicer knot. When you look at the moment in which you decide you need to come out, and then the fear that has been holding you back from a personal level and a business level, right? Once you leap past that and you get to the point where you have people going, I want to work with this man because he's genuine, you realize that that fear was unnecessary and that you're actually more powerful, more successful, more focused, and more accepted because you're just genuine. And life isn't perfect by no means of the day. Just coming out doesn't mean that my life turns into a bed of roses. But I no longer have this cloud of doubt behind me and this fear of not being who I want to be. Right. right? And that to me that's the one thing that I try to advise people that are in that kind of early stages of deciding to come out is, and I use this quote all the time, is like, our fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. And it is our light, not our darkness that most frightens us, right?
I love that.
And once you get past that fear, you realize that life can be pretty good. There's going to be people that are not happy with the decision.
Right.
But you have to choose between their happiness and your happiness.
Right.
And your happiness has to be the most important thing. If you cannot make yourself happy, someone else can't do it for you.
I think that a lot of people don't realize that.
Mm-hmm.
I think, a lot of us have been trained to believe that we are responsible for making other people happy, right? You get into a marriage and it's like, well, he's not making me happy, or she's not making me happy, or this person is not making me happy, or having these children is not making me happy. They have nothing to do with your happiness, everybody, right? You are the sole responsibility of your happiness. And I don't think that a lot of us, I'm going back to the generational thing, right? I don't think a lot of us know that. I was definitely not. I was taught, take care of everybody else first, right? You are a woman. You are from the Italian descent, right? My Italian grandmas would be ironing my grandpa's underwear, literally, and the sheets. And it's like, make sure everybody's happy. Your kids, your husband, your home, your job, and if you've got 5 minutes for yourself, go get yourself a manicure. But that literally was what I was taught, right? My mother did it. And until I actually realized it I was in my 40s when I realized it. I was like, wait a minute. It's not your responsibility to make me happy. It's not this job's responsibility to I have to take responsibility for myself. And that's another hard pill to swallow, because it's like, wait a minute. Who knew that I was in charge of all of this stuff, right? I'm in charge of it. So I think that, a valuable lesson for all of us to learn, and this is a part of, a lot of my conversations, is that's why you have to make your relationship with yourself is the single most important relationship you are ever going to have. It is a line from my book. It is something I completely believe in. I think that if you are not true to yourself first, you can fake it till you make it. We've all tried and we've all been there, right? But look at how much better it is since you made the decision to prioritize your relationship with yourself, be true to who you are, stand in your truth, face your fear, right? Your biggest fear was, oh shit, what's everybody going to think about this? And how am I going to navigate through am I still going to be successful at work? Am I going to be accepted? Am I going to find somebody? What am I going to do? You were very methodical about how you did it, right? You thought about it. You put a plan together. I mean, that's very executive mentality thinking, I think. Like, you didn't just jump in and were like, here I am, everybody, look, right? But again, everybody has their own different way of doing it. But I do think that another revelation that you had was, I need to be happy for me, and I have to be able to make that happen.
Yes. And that's a journey that I'm continuing to do, right? That's something
Absolutely.
you do every day. And I realized that, I kind of summarized what you just said, is like, I realized that I was living for everybody else.
Yeah.
And I need just to live for myself. And now I'm doing what I'm doing. In fact, you don't know this yet, but I've left Verizon, retired.
Congratulations.
And set up my own consulting firm, and we'll be helping customers build big resorts using technology.
Oh,
so
that's fun.
Yeah, so it's something that I wanted to do. The moment arose, and I needed to go. And so now I'm moving on to the next stage. And I don't think I could be doing this unless I had done I had come out.
Yeah.
Right. Because I would have continually made fear. I got to pay the mortgage. I got to pay this. I got to take care of college and all the other stuff. And that fear of change of job.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What you went through. Right. And how you're going to adapt to it, and how the family is going to survive to it. And everyone survives. We all survive at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to get up in the morning, still breathing, got legs, 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 legs.
Yes. You're ahead of the curve. You're ahead of the curve.
Right. So I'm happy with it. And the other piece of it is that I want to give back to my community.
Yeah.
Because I was really embraced by the community and accepted for who I am. And I think there's a lot of my job, my responsibility is to get back into that community. So that's why I'm doing podcasting. I'm doing my own writing, and we're talking about it, all focusing on what it's like to be coming out gay in life, and particularly when around corporate America. How do you maneuver inside that world? And part of it has to do with, my advice to a lot of people is just do some research, find out what your company's diversity program looks like, and start to investigate. Talk to the head of diversity, right? Every company has one, right? And really surprised that Verizon is one of the top 3 companies in the world for diversity, right? And acceptance. And but even then, we still need to do some more work, right? I advise about putting minorities in positions of power versus positions of execution, and because power creates policies, policies create change, and you can't have perspective about how a minority community wants to live, buy, consume, so on, unless you involve them into the decision process, right? I had the privilege of saying at the Hans on a meeting that I was given an opportunity to have. So I focus a lot on giving back, and who knows where that goes. My path is undefined. There's a saying that if you look what's in front of you, your path looks like a bowl of spaghetti, but if you look behind you, it's a straight line, right?
I like that.
So where we go, we go. Whatever the opportunity arises, you run with it. But I think I'm a happier person. I'm healthier, 10 times healthier than I was. I think I have a longer life in me now. And I have some great friends. I really do have some great friends that I've developed from this.
I love that. I'm so proud of you for doing it. We're doing it. I am. I think it takes a lot of guts. It takes a lot of strength. It just takes, and I don't know if you get to the breaking point, right? It's like, I just can't do this anymore, right? And I think for a lot of people, it's like, well, I just can't do this anymore, but I'm still going to do it because they live in that fear. And I think for somebody like you and for somebody like me, it was like, I just can't do this anymore. I can't live in this. I can't. And when you reach out to that person and ask for help, which also everybody is another one of my favorite things, HELP is a good 4-letter word. And you ask for help and support, and I need this, and can you just listen to me? It doesn't even have to be, let me go get you something. It can just be, I need to tell you something, right? And you get that support, and you get 1 or 2 people. That's all you need, right? And you just need that reinforcement that you are making the right decision, or you're making the right decision for yourself at this point in time. Because like you said, life is a roller coaster. It goes like this, right? And it is unexpected, and you really, you can make plans all you want, but a lot of times they don't happen the way you think they're going to happen. So I appreciate you sharing your story with us, Peter McGuire. This has been a lovely thing, and thank you for introducing us to the amazing Ahmad. I'm so excited to actually meet you guys in real life. I know you in real life, but meet him in real life. And when I get back to Brooklyn, we will make that happen.
Cool. Thank you.
You stay right there. Everybody, thank you for watching. I am going to put up stuff to where you can find Peter, because I'm sure he's got he's got a great podcast that he has been guesting on. He's been guesting on podcasts and stuff. So if you want to know more about him, I will put that in the comments in the video. And stay tuned. We are taking a break for next week, but we will be back the week after with another dear friend of mine, also talking about standing in her truth, because that's what we're talking about this season. Thanks for being here, everybody, and we will see you soon.